Just have fun and like I met them at work. And your partner should come. They came, they got the presentation. Like last week, like busy, coming I'm saying.
Good morning. What a place. What a people. What a week we have had. What a future we have before us. My name is Mel Fritchie, and I am joyfully serving as president of the Board of Trustees of this Unitarian Universalist Church of Spartanburg. I am delighted to welcome you all this morning, whether you are here at UUCS or because you were here for 6 hours yesterday, you are comfortably sitting on your couch. Good job. This is a welcoming congregation where everyone is welcome just as we are. If you are visiting us this morning, we are so excited that you're here, and we would love to meet you and share more about the life of this congregation. Visitor cards may be found in the pocket on the back of the chair in front of you. Please feel welcome to fill one out and place it in the offering plate during the service so that we can connect with you. There are many important announcements on the sheets titled Connect at the back of the bulletin this morning. Please open your bulletin to see all that you can be a part of. Thank you to everyone that participated in our Mission Vision Covenant gathering yesterday. I am amazed that you are here today. It was a long, wonderful, affirming event. Thank you to everyone who came yesterday and everyone who has contributed to this process over the last 2 years. The gathering was fun, boisterous, chaotic. Wait a minute. Are you referring to anyone in particular? And very meaningful. We were able to identify priorities for our congregation. One of my dear friends who is visiting us and a minister from a different congregation said, I think somewhat facetiously, did you all agree? And I looked at him and I said, yes, we did. We have chosen to develop our facility to enhance all the ministry that we do here. We plan on rethinking our Sunday schedule and how we can, and I'm partial to this, just have fun with each other and develop our connection with one another, and to strengthen how we communicate and build our beloved community, and so much more. Our Mission Vision Covenant team will draft a final statement of purpose and mission objectives for our consideration. Please stay tuned. Thank you all. If you haven't had enough, today, after the service, our wonderful choir will host a potluck and jam session in Wild Hall for all musicians of any voice or instrument, whether you think you are a musician or not. If you are even remotely interested, please come. I guarantee you there is plenty of food and much joy to be had. Then, this Thursday, from 2 to 4, we will have another potluck Thanksgiving feast for all. Please sign up on the board in the foyer outside the sanctuary and join your chosen family. Finally, Teddy Bear Sunday will be Sunday, December 3rd, during our morning service at 11 a.m. Please bring a new or clean, gently used teddy bear or other stuffed animal, octopuses are fine, for our annual intergenerational Teddy Bear Sunday. Our holiday menagerie will be given to the Children's Advocacy Center, Project Rest, and the City of Spartanburg. Bears brought before December 3rd can be left in RE Room 7. Thank you so much for making this a place of care and kindness for every one of us. Thank you for making this a place of joy.
Good morning, and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Spartanburg. My name is Clemson Tarragano. I have the privilege of serving as our worship associate this morning, and we want to welcome all of our friends who are joining us online as well. Our chalice lighter today is Henry Stapleton, and if you would help Henry with the chalice lighting, and in this hymnal, if you would turn to reading number 682. 682. And we invite everybody to read together some wisdom from the Navajo Indians. This is reading 682. Beauty is before me, and beauty behind me. Above me and below me hovers the beautiful. I am surrounded by it. I am immersed in it. In my youth, I am aware of it. And in old age, I shall walk quietly the beautiful trail. In beauty, it is begun. In beauty, it is ended. Wisdom from the Navajo Indians. 'Tis truly a gift. And as the choir began our service today, they started with, "We gather together as a people of faith." And we offer thanks and gratitude today and seek to welcome you, your whole self, with all your truths and your doubts, joys and concerns, excitement and apprehension. Our Rippling Bowl is a physical manifestation of our beloved community, a place to share your highs and lows with others, because a joy shared is a joy embraced, and a sorrow reflected is a sorrow for us all. When the waves and the ripples of these come together, they create an energy embracing all of us in a reflection of love. Remembering our online friends is a part of our community. I'll place a shell for their joys and a pebble for their sorrows. And 'tis a gift to be with each other. Please come forward and share your joys and sorrows in our Rippling Bowl as well.
At this time, I'd like to invite all the children, youth, adults, anybody who would like to come forward and join our story circle right here in front of me. So this morning I'm going to do something a little bit different. You know, typically I'll tell you a story about something, but I'm going to do something today called a prayer, which is kind of a prayer of thanks to Mother Earth in particular. And it was written by Chief Jake Swamp, a Native American of the Mohawk Nation. So for those of you who don't know, the Mohawk Nation, along with several other Native American nations, were located in the northeastern part of the United States. The Mohawk were in particular in the New York area. And something else a lot of people think about or don't think about is that very often we talk about Native Americans as though they're in the past, and that's not true. There are many, many descendants of Native American people today and many descendants of the Mohawk Nation. So let's start our prayer. To be a human being is an honor, and we offer thanksgiving for all the gifts of life. Mother Earth, we thank you for giving us everything we need. Thank you, deep blue waters around Mother Earth, for you are the force that takes thirst away from all living things. We give thanks to green grasses that feel so good against our bare feet for the cool beauty you bring to Mother Earth's floor. Thank you, good food from Mother Earth, our life sustainers, for making us happy when we are hungry. Fruits and berries, we thank you for your color and your sweetness. We are all thankful to good medicine herbs for healing us when we are sick. Thank you, all the animals in the world, for keeping our precious forests clean. All the trees in the world, we are thankful for the shade and the warmth that you give us. Thank you to all the birds for singing your beautiful songs for all of us to enjoy. We give thanks to you, gentle four winds, for bringing clean air for us to breathe from the four directions. There's the winds. Thank you, Grandfather Thunder Beings, for bringing rain to help all living things grow. Elder Brother Sun, we send thanks for shining your light and warming Mother Earth. Thank you, Grandmother Moon, for growing full every month to light the darkness for children and sparkling waters. We give you thanks, twinkling stars, for making the night sky so beautiful and for sprinkling morning dewdrops on the plants. Spirit protectors of our past and present, we thank you for showing us ways to live in peace and harmony with one another. And most of all, thank you, Great Spirit, for giving us all these wonderful gifts so we will be happy and healthy every day and every night. So that's our prayer of thanks to Mother Earth. And I would follow that very definitely by giving thanks to Mother Nature and Mother Earth. So I'm curious if you're willing to share something that you might be grateful for. Something you'd like to say thank you for. Yeah, Martha. What? Friends. That's a good one. Anybody else have anything?
I'm thankful for the cool weather.
Thankful for cool weather, which is nice. Helping the forest fires in western North Carolina. We need rain, though, so keep the rain prayers going.
These have been especially spectacular, and a lot of them are down here still just
I'm having trouble hearing you, I'm
the
sorry.
leaves are just beautiful.
The leaves, the beautiful leaves, yes, which we still have the beautiful color from a lot of those leaves, especially the ginkgo tree out front, which is magical. Anything else?
Unity.
Unity. Anything else? I'm sorry, what?
Food. Somebody
Food, for food that we have, that we can share, and that we can be thankful for. Absolutely. this church. Yeah, Becca. The light, the chalice light. Yeah. Know something else, Martha? For books? Is that what you said? For books and for reading. Yeah. Oliver. For what? Clouds. Very cool. Yeah. Anyone else? All right. Well, think about that some more. I know there's some things that everybody's grateful for. And you all may go back with your families for the rest of the service.
And we give thanks for Chief Jake Swamp, as well as all of our as well as all of our children of our congregation who granted us such wisdom today. And today we give thanks that we are UUs, Unitarian Universalists. We're also Buddhists, Christians, Hindus, humanists, Jewish, Muslim, pagan, atheists, agnostic, believers in God, and believers in Wicca. We are people with a religious background, people with none, people who believe in God, people who don't, and people who just let the mystery be. We recognize the choices we have in existence, and in making that choice, choose to be with one another in covenant. No creed, no loyalty oath, only a firm commitment to try and live with each other in beloved community. Our covenant is a promise not to a faith belief, but to a deeper loyalty to ourselves and others. Made here, lived here, believed here, said here. Please join me in our promise of being we take with each other, and your covenant can be found in the order of service. We are a people of faith and hope. Together we covenant to strive to become our better selves, to honor both the critical mind and the generous heart, to prove that diversity need not mean divisiveness, and to respond to systems of violence and oppression with the power of a love beyond belief. And now we're going to channel that love beyond belief, because UUs exist in a chaos of people who are brave, curious, and compassionate thinkers and doers. We're diverse in faith, ethnicity, history, and spirituality, yet aligned in our desire to make difference for good. We have a track record of standing on the side of love, justice, and peace. And now we get to meet all of these wonderful people. Some of us live this experience in quieter ways. So please respect the wishes of others and ask or intuit how they might like to be greeted. Now, our thankful chaos ends when the music begins playing, so please take your seat at that time. So now feel free to move about, meet and greet, but also give thanks for those who just want to stay in your seat. with that energy in the room. How can you not smile? Oh my goodness. And you know, we're really thankful of each other, and we're thankful to have this place and these people who support our UU radical roots and a history of self-motivated spiritual people. We think for ourselves, and we recognize that life experience influences our belief probably more than anything. We seek to continue this place, this work, and our impact on our community. And because of that, we share our plate with global and local partners who, like us, seek to ease the suffering and promote hope around the world. Today, we're sharing our plate with the Israel-Palestine Crisis Relief Fund. And at this time, let us offer our gifts in thanksgiving for our community of hope.
May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be peaceful and at ease. May I be whole. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be well. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be well. May you be peaceful and at ease. May you be whole. May we be filled with loving kindness. May we be well. May we be filled with loving kindness. May we be well. May we be peaceful and at ease. May we be whole.
At this time, we're going to invite Jamie Galloway forward. And as Jamie reads our loving kindness meditation, let us all read with him and join in this meditation together.
We begin by expressing love for ourselves. May you be free of suffering. May you be at peace. May you know the joy of your own true nature.
It's been a question on my heart all morning. Would anybody like to color? You cannot start celebrating Christmas until after Thanksgiving. Okay, it's a rule. It's not about Christmas. Would anybody like to color a positive protest sign? This is a sign that you can write a positive message to protest injustice or unkindness, or you would like some, Naomi? Take some, please. Yes. Would anybody like some? Anybody like to color? Yes. The sermon promises to be very boring, and this is a good thing to do. I think there are crayons at the back. Yeah, look. Folks, you can pass the markers around, grab some things to color on. I've sit in a lot of meetings, and I find it very useful. Here, please take some. To draw so that I can listen and focus. And a lot of people bring their crochet weapons with them to our services to help them focus, so you can do this. It looks like we should do individualized offering plates as well in this congregation. Everybody's so eager. Pass the markers around. There are packets for kids. Maybe just outside the doors have crayons if we run out of markers. So this was what we invited folks to do at Pride this year. And what we asked folks to do was make signs that stand for yourself and for your friends and your family and what you believe in, and do it in a way that reaches out to the world, that's positive, right? Power to the peaceful, for example. So fighting for justice, but in a way that tries to draw others into that work of justice. So you can pass these around to see what these are like. Build kindness, not walls. I wonder who that was meant for. Pass these around. The president of our congregation is currently using the floor as a drawing board, and so if you'd like to get down on the floor, you are welcome to. I shared this month a poem from 19th century French poet Charles Baudelaire that begins his revolutionary collection of poems. It's called The Albatross. And in it, he talks about the beauty of this enormous bird sailing on the clouds. When Oliver gave thanks for the clouds, he was connecting across more than a century with Charles Baudelaire and the beauty of the avian realm, in which the magnificence of that bird is there for us to behold. But in this poem, the albatross finds itself grounded and waddling, awkwardly dragging its huge wings along the ground. It looks so out of place until it lifts and soars. And in this poem, there are some less than kind human beings. You may know one or two of those. You may have been one of those yourself at some point. Who when sailing on the seas, watching these beautiful, beautiful birds flying behind their ship, will bait them and catch them and ground the birds, and then mock the birds for how silly they look on the deck of the ship. Ever heard of somebody doing that, right? I'm going to snag you and flip you upside down and put you in a situation where you feel like you don't belong and make fun of you. Baudelaire says there's some places where we just feel so out of place. But when we spread out our wings and our true being takes to the skies, then we see who we are. The albatross is the prince, the princess, the lord, the lady, the monarch of the skies, of the clouds. So strong is its flight, it can sail the vortex of the tempest. The worst storms it can navigate with its beauty and strength. Even the arrows of the archer cannot touch it. So if you happen to be at a family meal this week and somebody tries to snag you and make fun of you because you're a little different, just in case that's ever happened to you or might again, spread the wings of your full being and take to the skies. Ascend beyond the reach of the archer's arrows. Soar. That is the beauty of our being. And these kinds of signs call to the whole world to find the beauty of its being too. The sailors mocking the albatross have forgotten their own beauty, and they're deriding a creature they don't understand because they haven't stopped to understand themselves. Think of the beauty of the sail billowing on a 19th century vessel, sailing over the open waters. How like a bird it is itself. If the sailors would just wake up to their own true nature. If they would just know love in themselves. The albatross soars not only for itself, but calling the world into splendor. I've been talking this month about the strangeness of the Unitarian Universalist tradition, the invitation of Don and Mary Miles, who have been a part of this movement for decades, Mary for her whole life. And we've been talking in particular about how both the Unitarians and the Universalists began with theological premises trying to claim a fuller vision of themselves. The Universalists saying, a loving God would never disown any of that God's children, and therefore we are willing to fracture the boundaries of our inherited Calvinist theology and proclaim the love of a God whose love is universal. No limits, no conditions. Total love. And there are people who looked at them and derided them for that silliness. The Unitarians who were willing to forego all of the claims of doctrine and theology to insist on living the ethic of love. We will let go of all of the formulations and ritual practices that purport to proclaim love, but that seem to get in the way. Somehow they trip us up even when they're supposed to move us forward. And so we're just going to drop all of that radical Protestant streamlining in order to live the values that we proclaim, to live that love. If you celebrate Thanksgiving in any way this week, and someone starts to unfold that old mythology we've all heard about the pilgrims and their really weirdly shaped hats, and they forget to talk about what this meant for the indigenous peoples of this continent and what it meant for peoples of Western Africa and what it has meant for all of us in our shared history over these 400 years. If the myth begins to be told without remembering the truth of our shared history, then soar. Because those Puritans are the ones from which the Unitarians and the Universalists both sprung. Those are our ancestors in this movement, however much we may care for them or disregard them, however much we may agree or disagree with them. It is from those people that the Universalists and the Unitarians said, we have got to soar higher. We have got to fly higher. We've got to stop waddling on the ground, looking ridiculous, and show the beauty of our true nature, radically inclusive love, no limits. That is where we come from. To spread their wings and soar, beckoning the world to its fuller beauty, to its greatness. And when they did that, they made an enormous mistake. Because by committing themselves to this value of radically inclusive love, it meant they were going to have to love everybody. And in the trajectory of both of their movements, and then in 1961, the weaving together of their movements into an uneasy but beautiful marriage, like almost every marriage I've ever seen. This strange interweaving of different perspectives and traditions for shared good. In every generation, the Unitarians and the Universalists, and then the Unitarian Universalists discovered that their proclamation of radically inclusive love, love that accepts no one, meant that the group of people knocking at their door, whoever they were in that generation, also had a place inside. For the Unitarians of the early 19th century, that meant that the Transcendentalists who threw off all of the deeply considered academic scholarship that had formed the early Unitarian movement and instead proclaimed a direct, intuitive spiritual connection with whatever the divine power might be in the universe simply through nature and experience that they belonged to, even though their theological claims were exactly the opposite of the previous generation. And when the humanists emerged, speaking in Unitarian congregations about how a focus on human choice and behavior, a commitment to live the best lives that we can, does not require belief in a God. It can or cannot, but what matters is our choice. These early 20th century Unitarians were scalded by their own claim of radically inclusive love and found that they had to include folks whose worldview they could hardly understand, but whose message of responsible human life spread like wildfire across the world. And right at a time the world needed it. Forgive the heresy, please. But humanism came like a miracle. Right as fascism, whatever that word is, right as fascism into the labor movement of the early 20th century, and the humanist message pushed back against that and motivated people all around the world to stand up for human dignity and the common good, beyond political distinctions, to just fight for human life. A blessed advent of a non-theistic philosophy right when we needed it. And so too in the 1980s, when humanism had come to become the major religious movement within Unitarianism and a dominant religious movement in Unitarian Universalism. And then there was another knock at the door. And those Unitarian humanists opened the door and found women's liberationists, neo-pagans asking to come in. Could not be a more different group in terms of worldview. But that commitment to radically inclusive love meant that people who saw the world in a completely way upside down from the previous generation had an authentic duty, a responsibility, and a joy to say, yes, you belong here too. And we see generation after generation, decade after decade, the way this pulls us and strains us and challenges us and enriches us, the deep beauty of it. This church almost split over the civil rights movement in the 60s. People who didn't know if they wanted to go into the streets and stand up for our brothers and sisters, our siblings who are black. But others in this church said, who are we if we don't do that? And when you look at photographs of the sit-ins at Woolworths and Spartanburg, if you see white folks there accompanying their black siblings, 9 times out of 10, they walked out of this congregation. And again in the 90s, this congregation almost split over whether to become a welcoming congregation, whether to be welcoming and open about being welcoming to our LGBTQ plus siblings and already members, folks already here. And the vote was going to be so close there in the fraught 90s, the culture wars and the AIDS epidemic and all the shift that was happening at the end of the previous century. The leaders of this church said, you know what, let's just not take the vote yet, because we're not ready to say yes, and we're sure as hell not going to say no. We're not going to send that message. So we're just going to do more work around this. And like we did yesterday, we slowed things down to talk to each other more. And a few years later, when the congregation decided it was going to vote, overwhelmingly, the vote was yes. Yes, that is who we are and who we will be. Just last year, our trans and non-binary youth called out to us to say, this is an okay place, but the bathroom's not okay. The bathroom's not affirming and not safe for folks like us. And we stopped to talk to each other. We slowed down. And we made a move. We created a very different place for ourselves, saying once again, we commit ourselves to radically inclusive love. We find a way for everybody to be here. Right now, our denomination is wrestling with itself deeply over how to change our internal culture, to rid ourselves more and more of the inherited white supremacy from our Puritan ancestors. Like all institutions in this country, it's just there. It's just part of the genetic makeup. But through choice and work and failure and trying again, and failure and trying again, and failing a little better, we can unwork these parts of ourselves to create change. And our whole movement is wrestling with this, wrestling with it, wrestling with it. And we are too. Forgive once again the heresy. But as I listened yesterday in our discernment meeting, and as I've watched over the last couple of years, and as I've experienced in my own life and my own family, there's another group that has come knocking on the doors here. Probably the scariest group of all. The ones that we have the most reason to be wary of. Disaffected Christians. People in this community who feel like they don't belong in other congregations, whose families are of mixed religious commitment, or who hold their values in such a way that when they try to live them out in other places, they get fired or kicked out. Someone stood here not long ago and said, I come here because this is the only place in this community where I can live my Christian faith. Now, we have good reason to be wary of these rascals and scoundrels. They come to us from a dominant culture that has done harm to many of us. And we have to be careful that folks coming from majority culture don't overwhelm the pluralist culture that we develop here. But hey, if we can call out the white people in this congregation, we can call out the Christians, right? We can work on dominant cultures. If we can tell the straight people to get a little curvy and change, if we can help each other remember to not misgender people and not dead name people, we can work with these Christians. So here on Thanksgiving, I want to say to you, Thank you for opening your door when someone like me knocked. Because it is your radically inclusive love that at least hasn't fired me yet. And that can't be said. John. The talkback session comes after the service. You get 100 points for timing. That was perfect. Thank you for loving me too, and for doing the work to try to love each other. Now, yesterday we gathered to take another step in a process that we've been doing for 2 years, to think about what our next steps will be and how we will work together as a congregation. What I'm passing around is a synopsis of the 7 mission objectives that we've developed over these last 2 years, and especially this fall. It's just a summary. You've seen it published before. I put it in your hands many, many times. But on the reverse also is a little chart that one of our brilliant statisticians pulled together last night. And what it shows you is how the votes broke down yesterday when we gathered in discernment. Now, the real vote will happen probably at the end of January. That meeting hasn't been called yet, for us to set a new plan for how we'll move together as a congregation. And if you read these objectives, you might say, like I did for a lot of them, oh, we're already doing that. Why are you saying we need to do that? That's true for almost all of these in some way. There's stuff going on with them already, and some really hard, focused work, but also we have to have the humility to hear other folks saying, I don't know what you're doing, or I want to be part of it, or the way you're doing it is keeping me out. We have to challenge ourselves with radically inclusive love to hear folks who want to be a part of what we're doing and don't know how, or haven't felt invited or included, or have even felt dismissed by us, whether we meant to do that or not. And what I want you to see just for today is that the largest vote winner was about working on our facility, not to make it big and nice and shiny. In fact, I think a lot of people said, we don't want that, but to make it work, to make it function as a place to gather and from which to go out. And to emphasize that, I've drawn 2 other circles on this page, something I didn't realize until I got home late last night. But I just want to point it out to you. In this vote breakdown, you can see that the place that got the second most votes, the second tier of votes, so a place where we're going to focus a lot of energy, is all about how we learn to be together here. And there are things that people have suggested about learning how to talk to each other better, learning how to organize ourselves better, learning how to make classes that include one another, making a space here for every one of us, the practice of radically inclusive love here in this place. And then fascinatingly, the next tier, the yellow circle, is all about how we share that radically inclusive love beyond this place. It is such a beautiful picture that our congregation generated yesterday, saying we need to be who we say we are here, and how we organize and communicate and affirm each other no matter what our beliefs and views, making a place for every one of us here. And then we need to take that out to the world. Look how beautiful. Look how beautiful. So I was standing at Pride just a couple weeks ago, and I was out on the main thoroughfare waving these things around, saying, hey, you want to make a sign? Anybody want to make a sign? Anybody want to color? Positive protest signs. Stand up for who you are, stand up for your family, stand up for love, do it in a way that draws other people in. Stand up. No wonder I started thinking about albatrosses, right? And then an albatross actually walked up to me. This albatross came waddling down the middle of Pride, walking down the sidewalk, right down the street. Tents on both sides, everybody dressed in every color under the rainbow. However much or little they were wearing, they were all wearing rainbows. And we're all standing out there saying, come make a sign, come stand up for love for everybody, radically inclusive love. And this enormous albatross stood in front of me. And he just smiled at me. And I said, hey, albatross. And for a minute, he didn't even talk. And then he said, hey. And I said, hey. What's your name? It was so awkward. This albatross didn't know what Pride was. Just hanging out in Spartanburg. Saw a festival. Thought it looked like a good place to waddle. What are you doing here? And I said, we're doing radically inclusive love. What are you doing, albatross? And the albatross walked away. And a few minutes later, he waddled back. And he said, guess. Hey. Almost exactly the same conversation, 2 more times, walking back and forth. We talked a little bit more about the church he's grown up in, a lot like those Puritans 400 years ago. About the church that we're from, trying to do something beyond that. About what pride is. About why it matters to stand up and say, open to all. We love everybody. The 4th time he walked past, people had been giving him stuff from the booths. He had a bunch of rainbows coming out of his pockets. The 5th time, he had this flag draped over his shoulder, light blue and pink and white, right? The trans flag, like a sideways Superman cape. Things that make you go, And I thought, you're looking good, albatross. So happy, so totally confused, so welcome to find whatever his wings are and fly.
Please join me in hymn number 16, "'Tis a Gift to be Simple."
Tis a gift to be simple, tis a gift to be free, tis a gift to come down where we ought to be. And when we find ourselves in the place just right, to be in the valley of love and divine, when true simplicity is gained, to bow and to bend we shan't be ashamed.
As Henry extinguishes our chalice this morning, please listen to the wisdom of the Navajo Indians. Beauty is before me, and beauty behind me, above me, and below me hovers the beautiful. I am surrounded by it. I am immersed in it. In my youth, I am aware of it. And in old age, I shall walk quietly the beautiful trail. In beauty it is begun, and in beauty it is ended.
After the service, we will have a short talkback session. This is a chance for you to ask questions about anything you'd like, about the service today or about the service all month, or about what's going on in the congregation or anything. And I can also ask you any questions I would like. This is a way that we undermine pastoral authority purposefully to make this a shared space, a space where we all think together. We'll do that right here after the service. Also, downstairs, there'll be a potluck. Anybody that wants to get lucky, go downstairs. You're welcome. And there is coffee hour in the fellowship hall. So we've plagued the Unitarians again with a Trinitarian decision of where you're going to go after the service. Also, on Thursday, there is a potluck Thanksgiving dinner. Everybody's welcome. Bring something, come. There's a sign-up board outside. But if you don't sign up, you can still come. Then, next Sunday, this is purposeful. To celebrate on Thanksgiving weekend, two of our partners from Alianza Spartanburg, from the Latinx community, are going to be here to speak. Brilliant, brilliant women, Gia Quinones and Dr. Laura Barbas-Roden. They're going to speak with us about unaccompanied minors in Spartanburg County, a large number of children who have traveled to the United States and to Spartanburg County alone. This is good for instruction, but it is also very relevant to Sybil's prayer, her story, to all of our thinking, and about the work of radically inclusive love. Most of these children do not speak Spanish as a first language. English is their third or fourth language. Most of them are indigenous children from Mesoamerica, whose first or second language are indigenous languages. You can imagine what that means for navigating this country, right? If English is your fourth language. And also, how completely brilliant these kids are. Right? And so much more. Please be a part. Our AV team has asked that when we stand up to sing, if you've got a sign that you made, wave it at the camera back here. They'd like to get a picture. But whether you wave signs, or come to any congregation, or knock on doors, or open doors, or bring food to potlucks, or eat other people's food at potlucks, whatever you do, your being is beautiful. You are called to the beauty of love in you and to offer that radically inclusive love to a world that can fly.